what is belief? What is faith? I mean, what's the difference? I kind of look at it as we go along in life, we get to a place where we believe something. We intellectually accept it. Sometimes by a preponderance of the evidence, sometimes beyond a reasonable doubt. We certainly get to a point where we believe certain things. How an observable universe is working, how the sun works. We get to a point of belief. Faith, I think, is something very different. I think faith is, do you believe it so much that you'll actually put your belief into action? Will you change your life because you believe it so much? Let me give you a simple example. There's this guy, he's at Niagara Falls. He's a tightrope walker. He spread this tightrope across the falls, and he walks this tightrope across Niagara Falls. And there's this crowd of onlookers, and they're cheering, and he gets off the tightrope, and he says, "Hey, do you believe that I can tightrope across Niagara Falls?" And they all say, "Yeah, because we just saw you do it." Well, then he grabs a wheelbarrow, and he pushes a wheelbarrow across a tightrope across Niagara Falls. And he comes all the way back, and this crowd's growing, and he says, "Hey, do you believe that I can push a wheelbarrow across a tightrope across Niagara Falls?" And they're cheering, and they say, "Sure, we just saw you do it." He calls a buddy out of the crowd. This buddy climbs into the wheelbarrow, and he pushes a guy in a wheelbarrow on a tightrope across Niagara Falls. He comes back, the people are out of control, they're cheering, there's hundreds that are lining the falls, and he says, "Do you believe that I can push a guy in a wheelbarrow across a tightrope across Niagara Falls?" And they're like, yeah, we totally believe this because we just saw you do it. This guy's incredible." And he goes, "All right, who's next?" Difference between belief and faith.
A common charge atheists level at Christians is that their faith is blind. That's to say, their belief is without evidence. For example, leading atheist Richard Dawkins writes in the 1997 January-February edition of The Humanist, quote, "Faith, being belief that isn't based on evidence, is the principal vice of any religion," close quote. How is a Christian to respond to this sort of objection? Well, first, Christianity doesn't demand that someone believe without evidence. For example, John writes in John 20:31 that Jesus' signs are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. John sees his testimony of Jesus' miracles as sufficient evidence to merit rational belief by those who couldn't see him perform the signs. John makes it clear he doesn't intend non-believers to become members of Christianity with blind faith. He's offering his testimony, along with the testimony of the other apostles, as evidence that reason would demand for rational belief. To the non-believer who questions, "Why should I believe?" John is basically saying, "Because we saw him risen from the dead. We talked to him. We touched him," etc. This is a far cry from Christianity endorsing blind faith. Now, if the objector dismisses testimony and says that the only evidence worthy of belief is that which is personally verified, well then we would have to reject the whole scientific enterprise, since we can't personally verify every scientific conclusion made prior to us. But that's absurd. So the charge that Christian faith is blind faith is unfounded, and thus not a reason to reject Christianity.
You're made of trillions of cells, and in nearly every one of your cells, you have all the information that builds you. It's been estimated if you were to type out all the information from one set of your genes, from one of your cells, it would fill, they used to say 1,000 books, 500 pages each, close type written. Now they say it's much more than that. And DNA cries out that there's an intelligence behind life. It couldn't have happened by chance random processes. Matter on its own could never produce DNA. But if life evolved, matter had to produce DNA. For those who believe in evolution, they believe that millions of years ago, somehow life had to arise from matter. As you think about that, it's not just a matter of saying life arose from matter. Life is built on DNA. You've got to have DNA to arise from matter. But not just DNA, you've got to have a language system. Matter produces a language system. Matter has to produce information. People who believe in evolution don't believe in God, and people say matter gave rise to life. You've got to understand, matter had to give rise to zillions and zillions and zillions and zillions of bits of information, and over millions of years, information keeps coming from matter, new information to form all the different kinds of animals and plants, zillions of bits of information. You know what's interesting? We've never seen matter produce one bit of brand new information that never previously existed, not even one bit.